What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you for another round of picks here from every day we're covering. We're finally to that first Saturday in May, and the Run for the Roses Kentucky Derby is on the plate. We also have a big fight weekend as well. A lot of major cards all weekend long, so SJ is going to get into that for you a little bit also. But always fun this time of year, SJ. I think this is definitely one of those indicators of spring has finally arrived when we get to Kentucky Derby time. You start to get to the end of the school year for the kids too now, and everything just kind of ramps up that excitement for the better weather months.
Well, and it's definitely one of those weekends that you get pretty much almost all eyeballs on whatever event it may be. Whether it is, of course, the Derby is always a big deal if you can make it. The there's a little bit of a lot of pre-gaming involved there, and there's a extended period, so you got to pace yourself with those mint and juleps. But even the fights, a lot of times this weekend get just big names and people that know, and then even just beyond that, with we got NBA and NHL playoffs, of course, is kind of hitting the sweet spot here. So lots going on and lots happening. So hopefully we'll be on the right side of these ponies here.
Yeah, hopefully we'll give you some good picks to go to the window with here. Don't mind the wrinkles, but I did go in the closet and dig out the Horseman's Park vintage tee here. So we're representing the good old folks there in Omaha. And of course, now they've got the whole spiffy new Warhorse Casino that's being built all around that. And it's pretty cool to see the upgrades that have happened there.
Yeah, my only regret is I don't have any Fawner Park memorabilia. We spent many a days there back in the day there and west from there. But yeah, that's always fun to be there in person. Just like it's one of those things, especially with the Derby, is a big deal. Of course, I know, but even some of the other events, it's like it's just a in-person experience that you can't duplicate with other things. So that's definitely. I know it gets rowdy and crazy, and I can't imagine the prices these days to kind of attend the event and just hotels and travel and all that, but eventually one day it'd be something cool to see in person for sure. That's on the list of sporting events I'd like to check out one day.
Yeah, definitely on my bucket list. I know a bunch of guys that I grew up with that have gone a few times, and yeah, they've really enjoyed the experience. It certainly would be something very cool to take in, like you said, at least once. Yeah, you might have to taper the expectations on how much fun you're going to have, because I saw the list they just released earlier today of the pricing. It was like, I believe, $22 for the mint julep. So not going to be pounding too many of those probably.
Yeah, and it's not like you're getting, whatever, you're just getting a standard pour, probably 12, 16 ounces. So it's not, it'd be one thing if you're getting a boot or something, or, a big old, I know a lot of the arenas like to do the baseball bat drinks now and that type of thing. You're not getting that big of a pour. You're still getting the standard and just paying for being there, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. For the experience. Like you said, if you're somebody that has not ever been to the races, if you think it's something you're not interested at all, I would encourage you just to go once to a live horse race. It is an experience that kind of overtakes you a little bit, and then you get the adrenaline going just watching those amazing animals. When you see them up close and how fast they're running, it's a whole different world. So pretty cool. Obviously, love this event. There's so much nostalgia surrounding it. The world kind of pays attention a little bit, even if they know nothing about it. We love the pageantry of dressing up and wearing the goofy hats and all the stuff that goes along with it as well. So it's just a fun event for the country, and something that's been a long, standing tradition. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to get into the picks here for you, the nuts and bolts of it, and give you some of our favorites here. I guess kind of how we'll do it here first to start with is just who we're thinking maybe are the ones that could win this race to start off with. And then I'll give you also what I'm kind of planning to put together if you want to parlay a little exacto or a trifecta here as well. I'm going to start with my winner. And unfortunately, it's a little bit boring. I am going to go with what's probably going to be the favorite come post time here in the 8 journalism. Going back and forth there between Sandman Sovereignty and journalism, it looks like, for who's going to be that favorite. But journalism right now, the favorite, probably going to stay that way, especially with that 8 hole coming out of there. It's a pretty good spot. But this horse has just been fast. He has been consistently fast every time he's been out. Won the Santa Anita Derby. Always a well-contested race that the winner that comes out of that one always has a pretty good chance at winning this one as well. His sire is one of the best horses that we've had in our lifetime in Curlin, and he sired winners of the Preakness, the Belmont, and the Breeders' Cup Classic. Interestingly enough, though, Curlin has not sired a winner of the Kentucky Derby. So I think that's going to change this time. Journalism, just the fastest horse in this field, and I think the one that runs his type of race the best as well. So that's where I'm going with my winner. SJ, what are you looking at?
I'm with you on that. And before I even got into like looking at like, who I actually like based upon some type of like track record and history and that type of thing, I'll just like, of course, that name catches you being in the business. I'm like, oh, I got to pick them. And then you see the odds, you're like, I don't really want to pick it. So with that said, I'll throw another one in there this is just, I'm only going to stick with two. I know you usually like try to hit that exact and even the trifecta. So I'll let you get to that next. But I'm going to go with journalism. Just that's my favorite, of course, everybody's favorite. I think that's the odds-on favorite, of course, as the numbers show. But another one I have and I'm kind of feeling pretty good about this one, so I might even go a little bit more heavy, just because the return on investment, you're not going to get a ton with the favorite as you are. But Rodriguez there at 12-1. Of course, with any horse owned by that Mr. Baffert, he was a 6-time winner, I believe, in the Derby. So you got like the chance there of him getting his pony to the finish line there first. And also with Mike Smith, saddling up there and Hall of Famer already, and I believe he'll be the oldest to win if he gets his, or oldest to win since another jockey did it at 59. I think he's 58, so he'll be right on that thing, right on the line there, same as that. So, and you spoke about sire. I believe Rodriguez had a pretty notable one as well. And then also, and then Aqueduct is where it was. He ran his fastest time to date, so he's kind of hitting his stride at the right time. There's a few ingredients there, obviously. What you mentioned with journalism is probably like a little better lean if you just want to pick the winner. But as somewhat of an underdog, it's not a huge underdog at 12-1, but considerable. Considering what you want to risk to what you want to get on reward. If you're not going too heavy, maybe throw a 10 spot or something down, and then you might get a pretty good return there for a horse I think has a decent shot of, if there's going to be an upset, maybe be him.
And this is a master class on how things change so fast in this world, because this news just came out.
Well, there you
Rodriguez
go.
has scratched from the Kentucky Derby.
Don't pick that one. There you go.
I mean, literally, this news just happened. And I was with you. I was with you. This is one I had on my board too. Just a really, really talented horse. That has certainly had the pedigree to win this race and has proven that. But yeah, unfortunately for Mr. Baffert, he loses one of his top slingers here in this race. So it does switch things up. Obviously, there's another at-large horse that's going to get in this field that will change things up a little bit. But sometimes you feel like those horses maybe have an even longer shot. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, I mean, wild world.
Yeah, it could have been a good one, but I guess I'd say put your money on journalism or whatever else CP here's got for you, because I think that was going to be it, and trying to have a good weekend. Maybe not so much now.
Normally I would just say, as us in doing this, we would just say, oh, we're going to start over and do this thing again. But I think it's a good lesson for folks.
Hey, yeah, well,
this is why we're so hesitant sometimes to do videos too, because things change, and especially like you're going to talk about later with fights. You just never know. Like these guys could be out and somebody gets hurt, and if somebody doesn't, do the right things the night before, you never know what's going to happen. So the world changes. It's hard to be out in front of it way ahead.
Yeah, we were just talking before, especially with as the fights go. It's like, well, I'm a little hesitant on there's fights tomorrow, so fighters have made weight that are fighting on Thursday as we record. But with the Saturday, and there's even fights on Sunday, I'm like, we'll put them out there, but tread lightly just with this. I mean, of course, make sure watch. Last minute you can make your bets, and you don't want to do it ahead of time. But if you're someone that has to make your plays ahead of time, or you just like to do that, I always say with pretty much any mobile app out there, you're going to at least get your void and get your money back. So that would be I'd recommend doing that if you're going to get them in early.
Yeah, for sure. So I do have a couple others here on my list that I like, that I think folks will get some good return on as well if they come in like I think they may. The second choice that I have in this race is Chunk of Gold, coming out of the 19 spot. So that's a little bit worrisome, being so far on the outside to start. But we've seen wild things in this race recently with always being a full field. You just never know. But at least being that far out, you've got a little bit of space. It's not like you have as many to pinch you somewhere. If you're sitting, the one that always seems dreaded is at 17. You got enough on the outside of you, a lot on the inside, so it's tough to make your way out of that, especially if you're not a front running horse. But Chunk of Gold, kind of the one that can sit right in that middle pack, and I think if this horse sits just a little bit off the pace, going to have a good shot. Came in second at the Louisiana Derby, but a good horse coming in at 20-1. You're getting some good return as well on your bet on that one as well. If you put him in with the exacta, I think this is the one that could do that, and also has a jockey in Jareth Loveberry, who rode two fills to a second place finish back in 2023. So somebody that's familiar with being up there at the top of the pack. So that's another horse that I would look at. One that's a little bit more of a long shot that you could put in to your trifecta, or maybe if you're feeling it, even into that exacta mode, because I can see this horse being one that is good if it sets up well. Now, this is a closing horse. Grande out of the 10 spot. Right now it's been moving around. That number was much bigger I saw earlier, but it's down to 17-1 now. So obviously I think people are catching on because it was much higher than that. But got a jockey that everybody's familiar with in John Velasquez, a trainer in Todd Pletcher that's had a lot of success. They teamed up to win the Derby with Super Saver back in 2010, and then also with Always Dreaming in 2017. So they know that. And this horse rallied. He was seventh in the Wood Memorial, came back and got second in that race. And if he would have kind of timed it out, I think even a little bit better, would have won that race easily. So I think this is a horse to look at, and you're going to get some good returns. So Grande, the other one. If you're going to take a flyer on a couple more horses, Sandman is one that I like. I don't know that. I just don't feel like this is going to be the type of race. I think the pace is going to be too fast, too early for Sandman. And that's why I'm kind of laying off a little bit. And also being in that 17 hole isn't a great spot to be. The other one I would throw in there, if you're going to go for like a quad, or if you're going to maybe group in a wheel for a trifecta or something, it would be the 5, American Promise. It's a Dean Wayne Lucas horse. And has won the Virginia Derby, so maybe a little bit lower scale prep race, but still another horse that I think runs the type of race that can be good here. Coming in at 12-1 also gets you a little bit of a nice little mix in return there. So those would be the 4. If you're going to package some together and do I would probably go with like a trifecta wheel with those 4 horses. Journalism, Chunk of Gold, Grande, and American Promise. I do feel like Journalism is the heads out favorite. So if you even want to do, wheel with him on top and then rotate those others, that might be a good idea. Or of course, if you're not, comfortable with just having one horse fixed into a certain spot, then you go with the box and you get the options, the other directions, any which way it comes in. So lots of ways to go with it, but those are the horses I like. I think it's going to be a very fun race. And I think it's going to be a quick race as well. We've seen a few of these prep races be very fast. And that might be something that makes this one a little bit more interesting than some others in previous years.
I did just off of quick check here. At some point in the day, there's 100% chance of rain, so that could factor in as well. So it's every other year at least there's some, at least if it's not a delay, there's some crazy aerial shots of just the weather in the area are passing through. So it's probably just that time of year type thing. But that also, when we're talking about throwing variables in the mix, that seems to be one on the regular as well.
Yeah, and it has been, especially these last handful of years. We've seen some very sloppy days there at Churchill Downs. So that's what we've got there for the Derby. So if you're making those plays, go to the window, get those bets in, and have some fun with it. SJ, big fight weekend. You've got lots of options here. What are you looking at?
Oh yeah, it's actually. I mean, there's some pretty cool things happening too. Not alone that, just it seems like. I mean, I know it's a touchy subject there with some of the money and where it's coming from into the fight game these days and who's financing what. But I'm just going to enjoy the fights for what they are. And it's good to see, some of the top fighters fight each other, whether it be in boxing or MMA. But we'll start on the boxing side. And this Friday night card is actually going to be in Times Square. They set up a ring outside. Of course, they're talking rain too, but it's covered, of course. So the fans are the ones that have to get wet. So it'll still go on as scheduled. But there's 3 fights I'm going to look at there on the main card. I guess we'll start at the bottom of the card as it goes. Is Teofimo Lopez against Jose Ramirez, and then we'll Devin Haney, or excuse me, Teofimo Lopez against Arnold Barboza. And then Devin Haney against Jose Ramirez, and then the main event is Ryan Garcia against Rolly Romero. They're basically trying to set up a rematch. People remember it's about over a year, just over a year ago, maybe a little bit longer because Garcia had that suspension. But Garcia and Haney had that big fight in Barclays in Brooklyn there, and still New York area, not in the city, but regardless, same region there. So they're kind of setting up that rematch there. So give them, challenging fights, but something where they can, hopefully they both win and then they can face off again. But either way, in the card, I'm going to go with the first fight there, Teofimo Lopez by decision, and then I'll go Garcia to win in rounds 4 through 6. So I'm expecting a knockout in this one. Just that left hand. I mean, he's had his issues, and of course he had the failed drug test or and that kind of all whatever they worked his way through the process, and he served a suspension. So who knows what there. So I expect him to win that. And then with that Haney matchup where he's taking on Ramirez to set up that rematch with Garcia, I'm gonna take a little bit of a risk here. So I'm not gonna go too heavy on him, but I'm not necessarily neither as a big puncher and not known as a knockout guy, but I'm also kind of not really concerned, but looking at both these guys, more so Ramirez than Haney, but been in the game for a minute, especially Ramirez. And he's kind of get to the point where it's like, is he still within that top, 10 to whatever fighters, or is his best days behind him, And Haney, for me, more the fact that, I mean, that was a beat down, like whatever happened with the PEDs and all that stuff. He took some hellacious shots and one hell of a beating. And I'm just kind of curious. Those are the type of things that you don't really just come back from, regardless of, I mean, he's still pretty young in his career, but just that much punishment in that short of a time is a little bit, and this will be his first fight back to against someone who's maybe, a decent contender here. That's a tough way to come back. So on that Friday night, again, Lopez by decision, Haney Ramirez under 10.5, which that's a bit, like I said, that's kind of my long shot of the not too long. I think it's like plus 175 when I made the play. So you just get a little value, but not too much of a reach. And then Garcia in rounds 4 through 6. I'm going to go pretty heavy on that one. I think he's probably going to stop him fairly early in the fight. Then on Saturday, we go out to Saudi again. Like I said, who's funding these fights? They're going to get a couple shows there. And the odd thing is it's Canelo Alvarez who's going to be in the main event. And of course, he's been the mainstay of the Cinco de Mayo weekend here in the States, especially in Vegas, and maybe fought in Texas a time or two, or down Southwest, but either way, kind of in that region. So it'll be different to see him over there. So that'll be a change of things. But again, you got to go where they're financing your career there. So where the money is. I don't typically like to do this because it's real easy. You see some of these plays and they got like six picks on one fight. And then they, at the end, like, oh, I won. I got this. Well, yeah, you made all these picks. I'm going to go just 2 though, just because, but the fact is Alvarez should stop him. And I would think it would be later in the fight between, 7 and 12 rounds is where I'm leaning on that one. But I'm going to go a little lighter on that one because the fact that he hasn't had a knockout since 2021. So that's quite a bit of time. And he's a fairly active fighter. So that's about 6 or 7 fights for him in between there. He's won, by wide margins for the most part, but he's just he hasn't had the finishing capabilities for whatever reason it might be. I don't, he's gone up and down in weight, just getting older. He's got a lot of miles on him. So that's why I'm going to play the distance as well. I'll say I'm still expecting him to win by decision, Alvarez, that is, but I think maybe he'll just, get to the finish line like he's been doing and maybe not make it, so explosive. But that'll be my 2 plays for that. And then Sunday, finally, to wrap up here, this is actually a pretty big treat here. We have Inoue from Japan, who he doesn't spend much time here in the States at all. I mean, I think maybe he's fought here a couple, 3 times. He's actually be fighting in Vegas there on a Sunday night. Right after the Dodgers game. So they're doing a little bit of marketing there. You'll hear it quite a bit there on the Sunday Night Baseball lead up to it. So it's obviously a later start in our time zone, but about normal time for Vegas time. But he's just kind of one of those dynamo, explosive, smaller weight fighters. I mean, I guess the closest comparison as far as how entertaining and how like kind of dominant he is would be if you remember like the height of Manny Pacquiao. But the fact is he doesn't fight here in the States. So unless you're really big into the thing, he's fighting usually Monday mornings or Tuesday, like 5, 6 in the morning, our local time here. If you want to see him, you got to get up early. So that's kind of the thing that's really keeping him like out of being like a huge star. But a fight like this could really start putting him on the map here for more people, especially if it's a dominant as I think is going to be. This is how how confident and dominant, that he's been. And I'm going to go rounds 1 through 3 gets the knockout. So we're going pretty early then. And that's pretty standard operating practice for him. If he gets past 4 or 5, you kind of start thinking what's going on here. Either he's having a bad day, which doesn't happen very often, or the other guy is just is pretty tough and can take a beating. So I'm gonna think that's not the case though, and he'll get the finish there early. And then lastly, just to touch on it, like you said, we don't want to get too early. I just figured since I had the boxing picks, we'll just go down that line there. But with UFC, they have another show this weekend in Des Moines, a fight night. So I mean, if you feel like shooting over, maybe you get yourself some $250 tickets, and then you'll be up in the bleeds, up in the nosebleeds if you feel like it. But I'll have some, we'll tweet out some picks for that here this week. And we're still about, a little over 24 hours from making weight here, so I got to tread lightly on that. There could be a lot of shifting around there. So, but we'll have something out once all the fights are official for that card.
All right, yeah, and that's a good point too, because also the same thing goes for like NBA, NHL. We're doing that kind of day by day on Twitter. So be following us there. You see the handles there right there on the screen. So make sure you're following us there, and we'll give you those picks as they come, and of course as those series change as well along the way. There's a lot of excitement going on there yet too. Leafs fans are still shaking in their boots here as we record this. So we'll see how it comes out.
Well, then when you look at the NBA, it looks like we have some new blood in there with some of the, traditional names at least getting knocked out. Might not be a total upset, but you've seen some, different players and maybe a bit of a changing of the guard there. So I mean, at least if that gives you interest, whether you have a team in it or not.
Yeah, so pay attention there on line. We'll get you all those picks as they come. Of course, we would love it if you would like, share, and subscribe here on the YouTube channel, so you're always getting our picks when we do the video fashion. And then, of course, like and share the podcast, available in all major podcast platforms, wherever you like it. Our main host happens to be over at Spotify, but of course, you can find it right on this YouTube channel as well. So lots of places to track us down. All right. We hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the spring. Enjoy the Run for the Roses. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo prep. And we hope you have a good time. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another round of picks here on Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.